Welcome to the FishFlix.com Christian Movie Podcast. Every week we review a Christian film, informing you about the plot, letting you know our thoughts, and finally discussing how family-friendly the movie is. I'm your host, Noah Metzger. Please join me this week as we take a look at the documentary Patterns of Evidence: The Exodus.
The whole thing, from the beginning of the sojourn in Egypt, the slavery, Moses and the Exodus, the conquest of the Promised Land, is all there in one nice, neat line, but it's way too early.
I don't believe there was a single event that we can call the Exodus.
This person can't have seen all this. He imagined it.
I'm very much against chronological revisionism.
There is nothing else like this in the whole of Egyptian history.
Really?
Nothing at all.
Because it would undo a lot of their books, wouldn't it?
It certainly would, yes.
Patterns of Evidence: The Exodus is a movie that released on DVD on August 4th of 2015 by Thinking Man Films. If you'd like to find out more about purchasing this movie, you can visit our website at www.FishFlix.com. What is the validity of history found in the Bible? Is it fact or is it fiction? What does the hard evidence really have to say about the foundational story of the Old Testament, the Exodus out of Egypt? An in-depth investigation by documentary filmmaker Tim Mahoney searches for answers to these questions amid startling new finds that may change traditional views of history and the Bible. Different people have different opinions on history. Some people devote their lives to researching and learning all they can about history, while others tend to live more in the present, not paying attention to what happened in the past. While I admittedly find myself more in the latter category, if presented properly, I can be very intrigued by historical and particularly archaeological discoveries. Patterns of Evidence: The Exodus is the kind of movie that sucks you in, regardless of what you think of history or archaeology. Tim Mahoney presents the evidence in such a straightforward and comprehensible manner that it's impossible not to become interested in his discoveries. Through the film, Mahoney takes you on his journey as he attempts to find evidence to either confirm or deny the biblical account of Exodus. He had begun to notice some discrepancies between the biblical record and the archaeological record, and he wanted to set them straight. It's interesting to see the very unbiased angle he took on this film. Rather than trying to gather evidence that simply supported his view on everything, he chose to simply gather the evidence and believe what it told him. If there was convicting evidence that began to question the validity of the account given in the Bible, Mahoney wanted to know about it. But what's fascinating is as he begins to find more evidence, everything he learns about supports the biblical record, while simultaneously starting to disprove some of the theories that are treated as fact in the modern scientific world. What's also fascinating is how many modern scientists respond negatively to Mahoney's evidence, choosing to believe what modern science philosophies taught, rather than the truth that was clearly spelled out before them. There are many different interviews in this film with big-name scientists and politicians in the Israeli government that Mahoney masterfully weaves into a streamlined thesis. The visual presentation of this film is phenomenal and high quality, and in the end, he presents his argument, cited by a monumental collection of evidence. He's willing to admit that there may still be flaws in his theory. He doesn't have all of the answers yet. But what he presents in the end is a thoroughly convincing summary of the Egyptian timeline and how it aligns almost exactly with both the biblical record and the archaeological record. We at FishFlix.com were hooked from the beginning to the end, and I would highly recommend you give this film a watch. This movie is completely family appropriate, and some younger audiences may get some enjoyment out of the insights found throughout the film. Patterns of Evidence: The Exodus is a compelling film, and I recommend you take a look for yourself and form your own opinion about the evidence. Mahoney certainly represents a compelling case. If you would like to find out more about Patterns of Evidence: The Exodus, or would be interested in purchasing it, you can visit our website at www.FishFlix.com. There we have a vast assortment of Christian films you can learn about or purchase directly from our website. Thank you for joining us, and as always, please be sure to stay tuned as we bring you more reviews every week on the FishFlix.com Christian Movie Podcast.